Hey scrapbookers, it's Katie Scott with Kiss and Tell Scrapbooking, and I think I've solved a little dilemma for myself. I've been taking a little break from scrapbooking, or I had a couple days where I didn't do anything, and before that I was really doing a lot. And so when I come back from not doing a whole lot, sometimes it's hard. So this is the page that I've gotten started. Whoops, and I've created a Pinterest board called 8.5 by 11 scrapbook layouts, and so this is the first layout. This is kind of like the sketch. Okay, easy, pretty easy. And so I think this allows for 2 photos, which is nice, and then lots of journaling, which some of my pages in the Century Scrapbook album, which is what I'm working on now, I think have been lacking. So I've been wanting to have some more space for the journaling, but also have a lot of space for the photos. So here I've got 2 photos, and these are the photos that I was going through this morning. They were photographs of photographs. And so if you have some relatives, maybe you're going to be seeing relatives over the holidays and they don't want you to take their pictures and there's no handy dandy scanner right there, just take pictures of the pictures and they come out okay. I mean, I took those with a point and shoot camera in like not ideal lighting situation. So I would recommend that. So I'm just going to show you how to, and my other issue is that I have been, I want to make the layouts go faster, and I've also been like warning, if you get into this project and you start doing genealogy, then it really like opens this Pandora's box. So I've got some Heidi Swap things here that I think I will use for embellishments, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of do and I know that keeps focusing and unfocusing, sorry about that. This is a video that you should listen to more than watch, I would say. But this is going to be more technique-y than I usually am. So this is what I want to do, is start a couple more pages with this same theme, and then let's do 3. So this one, and I'll do 2 more. So what I'm going to do is just, seriously, like wham bam. There's one sheet, will be the background. And it almost doesn't, like the background sheet, it doesn't matter a ton. So it's just something for the rest of it to sit on. So there's like 2 kind of colors that haven't been that trendy, and in scrapbooking it's like a forest green and a rusty red. Okay, but that's okay, because sometimes when you're doing the scrapbooking, it's nice to use, I mean, like the heritage scrapbooking especially, is that if you use some colors that were from that time period. But I have no plans whatsoever for these yet. So one thing that I want to do is we get 2 strips. So the strip on this side is slightly less than the strip on this side, but it isn't actually like a 1/3, 2/3 kind of thing. It's almost, but not quite. But the first thing I probably want to do is select my photos, and so let me do that first, and then that will kind of dictate where I go with the other stuff. all the scrapbooking doodads. So this is what I'm looking at. I don't really want to do another, these are all pictures from the 60s. I'm not going to do another picture from the 1960s that has that same format, but this is maybe a good option, although that picture's kind of big. Let's see. I need 2 that are going to fit. Well, that's a 1960s there. And so I went over to my mom's house and I got a bunch of photographs that I took pictures of her pictures, and so it's this random bunch. This is kind of nice. It's my grandfather and my mother when she was a baby. I kind of like that. This is my grandma, but I don't know when. I really want to date these. Oh wow, I really think this is my I need to know who this lady was. I wonder if that is, I don't really have any photos of my grandmother's mother, and Ellen, I think her name is, and I think that's her. I'm going to have to ask somebody. And it looks like my Aunt Carrie, not my mom. Check that out. Oops, here we go. I'm going to put that aside to ask her about. And it's really good to get your, oh, that's cute. I think these two are one of the pages. Okay, so I'm gonna just cut that away, and then now I need 2 more pages. And so I almost have to remember like which years I've done and which ones I haven't done. Okay, I'm finding a possibility here. And I might put these over in the green pile. And then this is me when I was a cheerleader, and our colors were what do I want to say? Maroon and white. So I think I have one more photo of me cheering in this section. These are mainly from the 80s. So I've got 80s, 40s, and 60s. So that's a good mix for the same kind of a layout. And here we go. Perfecto. Look at me with my big hair. Love it. Okay, that works completely. So now I have selected my photos. And then I'm going to I've kind of organized this stack of photos by time period, and it's just going to stay like this until I've worked with it enough that I'm no longer interested in them, and then I've got a drawer where I will store them all together. But in the meantime, I just kind of, you know, make them when I stack them up, I stack them in their groups, so that makes it easier. Okay, making progress. Okay, and what I've found with these goofy pictures that I've photographs of photographs is the best way to crop them is probably, although these ones I'm gonna have to, let's see, I don't know. And I don't really want this lady's butt. It's weird. I don't know who that is anyways. But what cool, there's like birch trees in the background, which I don't get to see anymore. So I'm just wondering how I can crop that without cropping off my arm. That's going to be tricky. Okay, this one I think I can cut into like a rectangle, because this photo of the photo, it's not a perfect rectangle. So I'm going to try to make it one. Let's see if I can do that. Yep. So there we go. There's one. And then I'm really not sure how I'm going to crop this. I'm just going to start and see what happens. I might cut off my elbow. Ah! That's what I'm doing. So there you go. Cut off my elbow. And I really like those birch trees in the background, so I'm keeping them. It's kind of weird though, the way that, and I think I'm going to cut that little, there's a dude up there. Although I could embellish over that, so I might not. I think that's one page, and then these ones, I'm just going to hand cut these photographs. So I almost need to look at when my mom was born and make sure I don't have, and that's kind of going to be like a little bit of the challenging part of this Century Scrapbook album. And I'll tell you what, I already want to do the 1800s, I swear. Because I've started with my family history, and a lot of my family history has already been done for me. My grandfather started doing family history research in the 50s, and so I have all of his stuff. And then as he was dying, which I just learned yesterday, my grandfather had lung cancer, And so, you know, that's not a fun thing to have. But and he was a smoker. And I'll tell you what I used to do. And then I'll tell you the story about how he died, or what my dad did in the dying process. But when I was little, this grandmother, my mother's mother, used to smoke, and I used to like leave her little notes, like, please don't stop smoking, I love you, I want my grandma to live, all these little notes, right? And then I would like make her matches wet so she couldn't light her cigarettes, and like she actually quit. And so she was receptive and lovely. She was a lovely, lovely lady. Her name was Grace, and my daughter's middle name is Grace after her. And Alan gave me the idea for my daughter's name, Allison. So, super loved them. My other grandfather, not so warm and fuzzy. He was kind of a, I don't know. He just wasn't all sweet and lovely like they were. I almost want to round the corners of these ones, but I will wait to do that. Okay, so I'm telling stories and scrapbooking at the same time. Next thing I need now is I need the background papers. So I'm just going to grab one of my files that I have. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's just like a kit that I've made. And so I went to a scrapbooking yard sale. Oh, that paper looked good, didn't it? Let's use some of that for half of the layout. Just grab that from the back. I even like both sides of that. That's nice. Because one of the things I want on this side of the sheet is somewhere to write. And so this is going to be perfect for that. So here I'm just going to measure this off, and I already know this is 8.5 by 11, so I need like 10 by, I don't know, this much, like about that much. 5.5. See if that works. I'm going to do 10.25. Actually, I'm going to do 10. Because the wonky thing about this is this side can be a little bit smaller than the other side. I don't know why. That was just how the sketch was, but I kind of liked it. Okay, so that's 1/2. I know that's a little bit too bright. There you go. Maybe you can see that better like that. Getting my shadow. Oh well. Let's see if I can do one more thing. I'm always having issues with the lighting. Uh-oh, here we go. I don't know. I haven't found a really good solution that I like yet, but here we are. Okay, and then I need the other side. So I'm going to do 10 and a little bit on the other side, just to be weird. Okay. So this page is going to be mostly this cream color. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. I think that's cool. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I think it is. I don't know. It looks all right with the cheering pictures, except that I really want to be more, I want that to be more themey. I want that to be more 80s than what that is. And I think I am going to make these the same. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to make them the same. I think. Yes. So I'm just going to cut that off a little bit at the top at 10.25. I think it was 10.25. Maybe it was 10. Let's try 10. Yeah, it must have been 10. Okay, so in order for me not to change my mind later, I like to paste things down. And if you glue stick stuff down, then you really can't change your mind later. If I'm not so sure, like later in the process, like for photographs and embellishments and stuff like that, I'll get less committed. But at this point, it's nice to just commit. And the weird thing is I have I don't think that 10 was a very good choice for the length. It should have been like 10 and a quarter. So I've got this like weird bit on the bottom that I feel like the bottom is too, it's not even with the top. So I might need to do something about that later. But I'm not going to do it now. And I'm actually going to cut this just a little bit. Don't need all of it. So this is a good way, just using the same kind of a sketch over and over and do the same parts of your layout at the same time. So that way things go faster. I think they really do. I don't think it's, I was going to say theoretically, but I think really, like, if some of the decision is made and it's just a matter of like, oh, getting this down right. If it's just a matter of like getting things in the right spots, then that's cool. I think that works. But I did set up a Pinterest board for 8.5 by 11, and I found a ton of 8.5 by 11 layouts. I think I think I have this like lace that I might put along the bottom there. Yeah, maybe. So right now, I'm not so sure about what kind of a divider I want there, if any. And then I'm also not so sure, I think I want them to look like this. Although I think there should be a divider, except that it won't really matter too much. So I'm gonna tape my photos down now, again, so I won't change my mind too much later. And I don't think you can see this very well. I think less light might be better. I don't know, maybe not. So I'm gonna type these in. I love this picture of my grandma and my mom, and my grandfather and my mom, because they just seem like so delighted to be parents. And they're like all dressed up. You know, my grandfather's in all of his suit. Although I don't think my grandmother's all dressed up. She's got a kerchief in her hair. She just looks super delighted. And it looks like it was cold, because my mom was born in September, and so she's probably about 4 months old in this photo. And so it was probably cold out. So I'm just gonna like not put my adhesive that close to the edges so that I can tuck stuff under. And I'm gonna let these photos overlap, and that's okay because I have already, these are not original photos by any stretch. So okay, so there's 2 of them kind of started. 1, 2, ready? And then now I need this one. And we've got some green and some white, and it's the 80s, and I don't know. And I've already used, like, I've got this awesome chevron that I just want to keep using on every single thing, but I've already used that in the 80s in this album, which is okay, but I don't think that's what I want to use again. There's this like leopard looking thing, which super clashes, which kind of goes with the 80s, but I don't think that's it. Let's see, I don't know. Oh, I'm pulling from the wrong place. Okay, so I have this Heidi Swap pack over there, and then I have this pack that I've made myself. So I was looking at that Heidi Swap pack, and I don't think it's gonna totally work for this one. I do have some craft in here. I like that. That's a possibility, at least somewhere on this page. I know it's hard to see. I've got some gray and white polka dots, which could totally work. And then this is like one sheet, same deal that I did with the other one. That could totally work. I've got this color, which is another, that kind of is fun with the, I don't know, it kind of overpowers a little bit. I think maybe the gray would work. Maybe, baby. Okay, so back to my grandfather dying in the hospital with the horrible lung cancer. This is another Heidi Swap thing. I know I'm jumping around. But that I think I'm going to put with my other Heidi Swap stuff. And there's lots of numbers on here. And the numbers I've been digging for this project. Okay, back to the topic. Okay, then I have some kind of whitish, kind of birch looking stuff. And some of this, I used this on another one, but that could maybe work. I don't know. Let us see. Oh, I like this one too. And it has some red in it, so that's getting more possibility. This is like a notebook paper, which goes along with high school. So let's give some of these a try and see what. So I've just grabbed, like, I'm not using this. This is going over there. So I've grabbed like 4 or 5, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to use the teal, even though I really like it. But this paper I think could work. I don't so much like that it's polka dots, even though that sounds weird because it seems like that would be perfect. I don't know why I don't like it. Maybe I like it on this side and then something else on the other side. So this is going to be my this side, I think. I don't know. I almost feel like this page should be these should be like because the eyes are going that way. So I might change this one up just totally completely. Yes, I think that's what's going to make it work for me. Okay, so this is going to be my this side, my right side. Okay, and then what I do to make this little trick work is I'm going to cut this and then make it work. Tim Gunn style. All right. So I've just cut this piece because I need to make this work in this space, which it doesn't seem to be lining up that way, but is less noticeable this way. So let's just nail that down before we think about it too much. Thinking it sometimes in scrapbooking, you should just give it a rest. I don't have usually I use an old magazine to be my mat under when I glue stick. Okay, so back to the story, is I've been going through my dad's like family history research stuff, and there is a ton. Like, it's crazy. There's so much stuff. It's really, it's just amazing. And I read a book over the weekend while I was sick called, the book was called, what was the book called? Did it work better this way or this way? Sorry. It was called, sorry, I can't keep a thought. The book was called Clear, Fair, and Terrible. Okay? That is the story of my family. It really is. It's crazy. Okay, I'm going to cut it right here. Okay, so Clear, Fair, and Terrible is like a Bible. It's a reference to the Bible. The Bible. And that's not perfect, but it's going to be okay. So Clear, Fair, and Terrible is, I think it's in Solomon in the Bible, perhaps. I could be wrong about that. But it's this quote in the Bible, and so oh, I'm way off topic, sorry. And that's not even, I don't, okay, just keep moving, for real. Okay, so now I don't know what I want to do with this side. I should have figured that out before, huh? No. No. Now I almost need like yellow on this side, I think. Oh, I've messed myself up. But that's okay. That's a part of the lesson here. Is just keep moving with it. It's okay. I think I'm going to use green as the background over there, since it's an outdoors kind of thing. So I'm going back. I have some of this. It's like grid. But grid and grid, I don't think we want that. Oh my gosh, get back to the story. So, my father, as my grandfather was dying, said to my grandfather, you know, how about you tell me some of the old family stories? Well, I really like that side of the paper, but I'm going to use this side. Yeah. For half of that page. So I need like this much. Okay, I know, super disjointed story here. Okay, so I kind of thought my dad was always interested in family history, and so what I learned yesterday was he wasn't. He became interested in family history. And I have to tell you another story. I just got to keep telling you stories. Okay, so my father, who I thought was always interested in family history, he wasn't. My grandfather was. Before my grandfather died, and they knew he was going to die because he had lung cancer, my dad said, why don't you tell me everything you know so I can write it down, and you know, it won't be lost when you die, because, you know, I made a mistake, but here's the thing, just keep going. So this should have been the same size as that, but it's not, so who cares? I'm just gonna keep going. So whatever, my grandfather is gonna die. He knows all this stuff because he's researched it back to the 50s. And so my dad, I guess, like, asked him to write it down, but at that point it was like there was no way, you know, he was not going to be able to write anything down because he was dying of lung cancer. And by the way, interrupt myself again, my dad died 9 years ago today. I don't know if I like that or not. It doesn't really match, but I think I'm going to go with it anyways because we didn't really match in the 80s. So I'm going to put this down first. And I know I just love this side. It's so pretty. But it's October 16th today, and my dad died probably on October 16th, although I really think it was the 15th, but then they all reported it like it was the 16th, so I don't know, I wasn't there. I was here in Florida, which is probably, and like 8.5 months pregnant with my daughter. So that's probably why there's like all this delayed grief and delayed getting into all of the stuff that he sent me, or that I got after he died. So that's going to be like that. So that's going to be different from the other pages, but I think it'll still work. So my question is, should I border that? And should I border this? And I'm going to err on the side of bordering those things because I think that's usually a good idea, but not with that. I know, I'm all over the place, right? I can't finish a thought. Sorry. Kind of like this one. Okay, so that's going to go, yeah. Cannot finish a thought. Sorry, I really can't. It's just how it is. Well, I'll just give myself a little leeway. It's sometimes hard to finish a thought while you're thinking and doing and talking. And so maybe I shouldn't try to tell 7 stories at once, but that's usually just how I do it. Okay, original story. So my dad developed his interest in family history as my grandfather was dying. And then I read about all that last night, and I was reading it to my son, and he was like, I thought it was going to be so boring that it's almost like the part of the Bible where they're like, and then this one begot that one, and that one begot that one. And it's like, kind of like, oh my gosh, like so boring. But I was listening to something recently, and they were like, but it's in there for a reason. You know, they put that in the Bible for a reason. So it's important. Anyways, he developed his interest in family history then. So then I've got all this stuff from his research, and then my grandfather, I think, died in like 1997. And then my dad did like a ton of research in like 1997 and 1998. And then my dad got this horrible disease, and then he died in 2003. So like I had rapid fire, everybody's going, and my other grandparents went about the same time, and I had my 2 children. And so, like, all 4 of my grandparents died, and I have my 2 kids, like, all in, like, 10 years. So, like, lots of stuff going on. So I haven't really had the time to do, or the interest, really, in doing the family history. But now, like, my kids are a little bit bigger. They don't really, like, they still like me, but they'd rather be with their friends. And they don't like to get their pictures taken as much as they ever did when they were little. So I don't take as many pictures, and I've been feeling kind of fat, so I haven't been taking as many pictures of myself. So this project is kind of like a nice diversion to all the normal scrapbooking that I usually do. And I really think that it does, if you have some of that, like, delayed grief thing, because I think you can. Like, I know time and tide heals all wounds, but I think sometimes, like, you get sad about something, like, way after the fact, and it seems like it's out of the blue and random, but really it's because probably you just didn't deal with it at the time. So I think I'm having a bit, and I think too, it's almost like right after, I know this like became all about death, sorry, but right after my dad died, like, if I would be in the car by myself, like, I would just start crying. And so I think it was because then I had the time and space to do it. But I think that with this interest in family history, it's this, combination of, like, right now my life is kind of slowed down a little bit, and I'm 42, and I'm kind of like taking stock of lots of things, and so it's a nice time. And I been listening to the Family Tree Maker podcast with Lisa Louise Cook, who's just delightful to listen to, and I think she was saying that, like, a lot of the times people start getting interested in family history when they're in their 40s, and so that totally makes sense to me. That's when my dad started, that's when I started. That's my grandfather was in the 1950s, and he was born in the 20s, so maybe not quite 40s, but late 30s is when he got. So that seems like it doesn't match at all, but you know what, that was a sign of the times. I've got to go buy Halloween costumes and go pick up my child at karate. So those are my 3 pages started. Okay, so I will check back in to do the embellishments and the titles and the dates. So it's going to be 1946, 1964, and 1980 something. I already did 1985. It could be 1984 because I think I was a freshman, an airhead freshman cheerleader. That's what they used to call us. So we didn't dispute it. We just made fun of them back. All the upperclassmen, girls, those airhead freshman cheerleaders. So we would just be like extra silly, so they couldn't hurt us. Anyways, that's me for today, with my random blathering and emotional venting. So there we go. This is the Century Scrapbook Project. I'm Katie Scott at Kiss and Tell Scrapbooking. Come see me there.